today's video where I'm going to be talking to you about tools that a beginner, homeowner, or just any DIY-er is going to want to have in their repertoire for just general building purposes. The first one, which I'm sure you already have, is just a pencil or a writing utensil. I probably don't need to say this, and I'm sure you can imagine the uses, measuring, marking, different things, but a pencil or some utensil that you can use on wood is going to be helpful. Pens generally don't write too well on wood, and markers, the Sharpies, they work fine, but I just like a pencil because it's very versatile, it's strong, and it doesn't damage quite as easily. If you got a thicker one like this, you can hit it much harder, and it's going to be strong. So pencil is definitely a good starting point. From there, one of my other favorite ones is a tape measure. This one is 30 feet long, probably overkill for most homeowners, but still 16 to 20 feet. That's going to be helpful, especially if you're hanging paintings, hanging pictures. Put it on the wall. How far on this side? How far on this side? How big is your furniture? If you're trying to fit in a new couch, a new chair, just measure that out. How big is the area? Tape measure, they're cheap. They can break a little bit over time by being used, but this is one of my favorite tools that I think everyone should own. One of the first tools you should get that I really recommend is a hammer. I mean, I don't need to tell you twice, hammers are used for all sorts of things. And this one right here, I believe it's about 20 inch. It's a bit medium sized, medium large. There are much lighter ones that you can get, smaller ones, but anything that works for you, anything that you can get cheaply at first is going to be nice. And so you're going to be putting in picture frames, you're going to be hanging things on the wall, you need to pull out some nails downstairs in the cellar or whatever you're using. A hammer is cheap, hard to break, steel, whatever the material is, and they're going to just be a great tool for a beginner to have up front. So that's one of the first tools I recommend. The next tool is a set of needle nose pliers. These are another one of my favorites. That they're called needle nose pliers because they pivot like this, and needle nose because they're very pointy. These pointy ones are good at grabbing small items in tighter spaces and adjusting things such as a wire or a little bolt or something. If you're on a bike, that can be helpful. So I like a pair of needle nose pliers, and any standard one will do. They're pretty durable, just steel. They're not going to break too easily. Another type of plier that I do recommend is a pair of slip joints. So these are called slip joints because they have a little joint right here that, if you see, this right here is closed. So fully closed is closed, slip the joint. Now fully closed is slightly open. What that means is that you can get a wider angle with less force on your hands. And so this right here is going to be really good at grabbing, say, a pipe or nuts and bolts on a bike, furniture, wrenches. It does the job of that. So a pair of slip joints is just going to give you a little bit more versatility in some heavier duty applications than those needle nose pliers are. But both are very helpful, but most standard toolkits would come with both of these, which I agree with. From there, you're going to want some screwdrivers, both a Phillips, which is a cross one, like a plus sign, and a flathead, which is, as the name implies, flat. So I have two separate ones right here, Phillips plus and flathead right here. Medium sizes, these will work on most items, and these will work fine. I actually do prefer to have a multi-tool kit, where these, I need two parts for them, so that's okay. I mean, my tool, this R-Dog tool belt, has a lot of slots that I can fit them, but if you have a lot of different bits, it can be helpful to get an adjustable one where you actually can slot in different sizes ones. So there's bigger ones, smaller ones. Having an adjustable one with just a single head, but then an adjustable bit that goes on the end is one of the things that I really like, and a lot of screwdrivers now have that. Another tool that I recommend is a utility knife. Now, scissors will probably work okay for most applications, but sometimes a utility knife is nice. Where a utility knife does its best, or at least it comes most useful, is with long, straight cuts. Say wrapping paper, for example. Wrapping paper, if you've ever had to cut a big piece of wrapping paper, you know how tedious and how hard it is to keep a straight line cutting long. If you have the utility knife, you line it up on somewhere flat, you don't even need to press too hard, you can go much easier and cut it. Pair that with actually drawing a line in it with like a pencil or a ruler, or getting some item that's straight like this and lining it up. And doing that, you can make some nice long cuts, very straight. So it's just not necessary, but something I like in addition to scissors. Most of these tools, which for most homeowners, like a little toolkit, like a box that comes with things from Home Depot, IKEA, or whatever, those will do fine for you for a while. And at first, you probably don't need to get too expensive with tools. I mean, some cheap stores, Harbor Freight, they have some of the cheapest tools, and although the quality is not great on them, if you're starting out, if you just know you're gonna screw in a couple things, just have a little use for a plier, you might as well just go there. I mean, you're gonna save a good amount of money versus getting the premium ones up front. And I recommend that just get your starter set of tools at Harbor Freight, get a kit or something, and then as you say, oh, I'm using my utility knife all the time, or oh, I need a better tape measure, then say, okay, now I'm gonna replace this one in the future, and start to build that base level, and then in addition, add those tools that you're using a lot and that you want the higher quality versions of. So that is most of the tools. You can also get a tool belt, not fully necessary. This is a pretty heavy duty one right here, top grain, extra thick leather that we sell. We also sell a more hobbyist friendly one that's a single apron style, and it's got a nice quick release buckle on the front or back depending on where you wear it. So if you're doing things that can help, like say you're hanging a picture on the wall, you want to have hammer, you also want to have a screwdriver or drill or whatever, something like this to drill a hole, and you also want to have some of those actually nails so you can keep that hammer and nails in those pockets while holding that frame up there. So that can be nice to have is a tool belt. Other tool that I recommend to people, but not require it, well, I don't require any of these, but I think is very helpful, is a drill, a cordless drill. This right here, I did not have a drill for a little bit when I started working on some projects around the house, but once I got it, you can't go back. Drilling holes in the wall or just screwing things in, if something's long, using a screwdriver like this, yeah, I'll get the job done, but once you get used to just pumping that in like that, you can't go back. It's so nice that just all the time you save. If you value your time and you know you're going to be doing some work, just get a cheap one up front, and again, if you're using it more, invest later. You're going to find very quickly how much easier it is, especially working with furniture. You have a lot of screws, you have a lot of bolts, you have a lot of nuts or whatever. Get a drill and you're going to see how fast it can go. So hopefully you found these beginner tools useful. I know that it's just a starting list and there's many more. What I recommend most, get a cheap kit and upgrade from there, but hopefully this is enough for you to start with in building that tool collection. So if you like this video, give us a like. If not, give us a dislike, I don't care, or comment. And you can visit us too at rdawg.com. That's rdawg.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.